Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I'm here with Thabojan from Rasaya Private Wealth. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm really well. Thanks, Leonard. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to having a chat. So tell me a little bit more about what you guys do at Rasaya Private Wealth.
So, Leonard, our business focuses on wealth management, so
Mhm.
making smart financial decisions. Our
Mhm.
focus is on helping people live life according to their values and their purpose by making smart financial decisions. That can be generally people with complex situations, often business owners that are doing well financially. But it's not as simple as that. It's about also converting that financial success into personal wealth and life success as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then roughly in terms of size, about how many employees do you have, and then roughly about how many clients do you help with this?
So we've got eight members of the team.
Mhm.
We've got some people who do some freelancing and contract work as well, but it's a fairly small team. We don't look after a whole lot of clients. We're very selective in terms of who we work with because we want to find people that we can add the most value for. So we're really looking for those clients where we can do amazing work that has a massive impact in their lives. Right now, we look after about 125 clients,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
we are recruiting now at the moment
Yeah.
for a couple more roles because we are getting plenty more work. We're doing good stuff, so we want to build that capacity to make sure that we can
Yeah.
continue to grow and not wait until we're too busy. So we want to have
Yeah.
that capacity ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And then what would you say is like the typical client that you have? Like what do they do? And then what do you typically find do you help them with specifically?
So we have different clients and it's more characteristics based. So the first thing that we talk about is values. So we've got three criteria. The first criteria is values. And if people just want to get rich, that's not really our ideal client because
Mhm.
getting rich, is great, but it just means more money. We like to be talking about the why behind it. What is the purpose of an individual, of a family, of a business? What are you trying to achieve and why? What are the values that are important? And what we find is that when we focus on values and purpose, we're able to help them make far smarter financial decisions that are aligned with
Yeah.
where they want to be in life. So that's definitely important, being able to have those values-based conversations. We might get into it later, but we find it with our business clients. We've got a lot of business clients. That is really significant because business becomes their life, and we find that they get a lot of value from talking about the business, but also in the context of other things as well, getting back time, and being able to allow the business to live the life they want, not the business taking over their life.
Mhm.
So that's really significant. The second thing we look for is complexity. And so where people have complexity, and complexity comes in lots of different forms. I mean, it can be making lots of money, it can be complex structures, it can be time, it can be that things are just hard and someone needs us to walk beside them to help them make the right financial decisions. So that complexity is where we do our best work. And we've got a highly qualified, highly experienced team to help with that. Tax being a big part of what we do as well. And the third thing we look for is affordability. So what that means is that anyone that's going to pay us a dollar, it has to be a really good investment for them. Otherwise, we won't take on the job.
Yeah.
We want our clients walking away saying that was money really well spent or really well invested. So they're the
Yeah.
criteria we look for. There are some, characteristics. Typically, young, high income earner professionals is one avatar. We have business owners that are doing well, but they've got to the point where things are starting to get more complicated, and we can really help them make that transition from, just having a good business to what's next. And the
Mhm.
other is at the other end where people have accumulated wealth already, or they're exiting, or they've exited from a startup or from a business, and they need the money, the wealth that they've accumulated to be, I guess, looked after and maintained and managed really well. Which is
Mhm.
sometimes very hard for business owners to do. They can be good at making the money, but the next step is keeping it once you've got it. So risk
Yeah.
management.
Yeah. And then also keeping as much of it as you can after taxes and everything is all, yeah, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, cool. And then what kind of like got you into wealth management and then also starting the business? What kind of like, yeah, where did that come from?
Yeah, good question. So I accidentally ended up in financial advice, wealth management. Originally, I've got a math science background, so I like complicated technical problem solving type work. I had an interest in finance and studied it at a reasonable level through university. And so I was looking at investment banking as a graduate. But when I graduated, it was just after September 11, and all the head offices around the world, yeah, the head offices have been blown up with for the big investment banks, very sadly. So there was no graduate positions. Um, and so I looked at other areas, in finance, and I came across financial advice, which I'd had a little bit of exposure to, and it
Hmm.
wasn't super technically complicated, but what I did really love about it was about helping people. It was about you could really see how you can um, take complicated financial things, because financial stuff and money is complicated, and it can be complicated, but being able to guide people through that and really make a difference for them,
Hmm.
simplify things, reduce their anxiety, their worries around this area, and really have a big impact in their lives from that perspective. And so I ended up accidentally falling into that area. Really loved that idea of continuing to help people, and that's where I've pushed into, and that was 2003, so a good 22 years ago. Started there, and in terms of how I started my own business, I started in a small boutique firm, which I became a partner in that early on. We then grew that business. We merged to form the largest independently owned financial advice business in the country. We then listed that business on the stock market, and we then got bought by a large institution. Um, so great journey, worked with some of the best people in the profession, and so it was an awesome experience. Once we got bought by the institution and became really, really large, the culture of the place changed a little bit. And so what was important to me was continually making sure we're looking after clients and doing the best thing for them. Um, and this was just before the Royal Commission. You may be familiar with the Financial Services Royal Commission. And there was a lot of bad practices and, an opportunity to professionalize the industry. So a bunch of those things were issues, and that's something that I definitely wanted to try and influence and try and do better. And so that's when I left and started my own firm 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's been great. Because I was a partner, I couldn't take any clients with me, and so I started from scratch. And we, have redesigned what we think is important with financial advice. It's not just about selling products. It's not just about, just investing or anything like that. It's genuinely about understanding the challenges that people have, the dreams that people have, the things that they want to achieve for them and their families. Not just about making more money, but actually how they live their lives, and then making the smartest financial decisions to
Mhm.
achieve that. And so that's what's really exciting about what we've been doing and what we're continuing to do right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, sounds like you've had quite the journey. Yeah, it's really cool. And
Mm.
then what are some of like the projects that you guys are working on at the moment?
So, I mean, we've got lots of our clients that we're continually working with and helping them as they continue along the journey of business and life and whatnot. There's a specific example now that's pretty that's really good where we've got a business that's going very well. There's it's a family business. It's going well, but the father he's going to be retiring in 5 years, and then the son's running the business, and what they need a bit of help with is getting everybody on the right page. We've also helped them identify someone they can bring in and get involved in the business as well. And that's not an easy thing to do, to come in as a future owner and a future partner of the business. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really important for the business and for everyone involved in it that you're not susceptible to one individual in the business. You're building longevity in it. And so some of the work we're just about to start with them is resetting things like redefining core values. What is the long-term vision of the business? What are they trying to achieve over many, many years? And use that as the foundation. And then we'll start setting in place 10-year, a 10-year vision, 3-year plan, 1-year plan, and then quarterly targets. So it's really it's not anything that they don't know, but we're providing the structure and the framework to help them understand how to do that. And
Uh-huh.
it's things that we've done in the business with, with our business coaches who have been really beneficial to help us stay focused and um, achieve what the business needs.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And then as a business, for you guys, what are some of the things that you're working on?
So we're always working on lots of things. Uh, Partially, it for us, we're always looking again at those similar things. So look at the broad vision, bringing it back to where do we see the business in the future based on what we're trying to help achieve in the world, I guess. So, in order for us to continue to help more people make smart decisions with their money so they can live life according to their values and purpose, we need to have the capacity. I mentioned that we're recruiting at the moment. That's so that we
Mm-hmm.
can have the capacity. We have got an accountability chart or an org chart where we have, all the key roles in the business. And so we have to make sure we've got the right people in the right seats. That enables everyone to do their best work in the different areas,
Yeah.
and get everyone on the same page. We are working through processes and systems. So with our practice manager, we have a dedicated practice manager who is basically operationalizing the entire business so that we're not
Mhm.
just doing stuff because, I know how to do this and so knows how to do that. There's actually processes and systems in place that we can follow. And again, it reduces the risk
Right.
in the business for our clients as well, because we know that someone's going to be able to follow those things and ensure the continuity of delivery. Um,
Mm-hmm.
of outcomes to our clients. A lot of that involves looking at technology, tech, AI, a bunch of things like that to help with that and to
Yeah.
become more efficient. And what that does is it's really interesting. So the focus on process and operationalizing things as well as using technology to become more efficient, what that does is so it lets us personalize the experience for our clients and
Mm-hmm.
custom the outcomes for our clients. So it's not about making it cookie cutter. It's about having processes in place to do the things that we do, over and over again, but then that gives us more time to spend more, uh, to focus our face-to-face time with clients,
Mm.
and tailor their experience and make sure that we take care of everything that they need.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Essentially doing more like value added activities as opposed to like admin type of stuff.
Correct. That's right. That's right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I love a good SOP myself. And then in terms of like the automation that you are looking at doing and like the AI, what type of things like specifically are you looking to, I guess, automate and bring AI into a little bit more?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not the tech expert. That would be Justin, who's our practice manager, who's really great on that side. But we are always looking at better ways of doing things. One of the things that we are being very deliberate about is not just jumping in and using random stuff to try and be the solution to fix things.
Hmm.
We are working very hard on our underlying processes without the technology initially, so that once we're which is, we're doing that on an ongoing basis. But for every process that you got to map it out how it needs to be done, and
Hmm.
then we want to use the technology to make it more efficient. So we don't want to run into the problem of thinking that, oh, you get this piece of tech and it's going to solve all your problems. If your processes are initially not clear and the best processes, then technology is not going to fix it. It's just going to make it worse, probably. So
Yeah.
we're making sure that we've got those documented processes and systems in place, and then utilizing technology. As
Hmm.
far as AI goes as well, being in financial services, we're very, very, very conscious of data security and privacy for our clients. And
Yeah.
so we only will use anything that has incredibly strong protections around any information and things like that. So we've got to be very picky there. And we're really using it to help us become a bit more efficient. So things
Yeah.
like note taking, summarizing things, creating documents, creating presentations, things that where we can take the client's personal situation, use our smarts, and then use the AI to just make it easier
Hmm.
to deliver what we want to deliver. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And data privacy definitely is very important with what the AI does. I know there was like one, it's like a new one I released, and it takes all your login details and then it makes everything more efficient. But then it's kind of like, okay, well, where does that data go? So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I imagine, especially with what you're doing, that's something that's definitely important.
Yeah, 100%. We run cybersecurity audits on a regular basis. We're looking at,
Mhm.
where is the data held? What are the, what are the ring fences around any platform that we use? We don't use ChatGPT because it's out in the public, and so we don't want any client information going out in the public. We have to use very,
Mm.
protected environments to do
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Mhm. Nice. And then what would you say is like some of the other challenges that people in like like businesses and wealth management are facing at the moment?
I think it's a very interesting time in wealth management. Given the changes since the Royal Commission, we've got about half the advisors than there were 5, 6 years ago, and that's the reason for that is because there were some bad practices. There was an opportunity to become more professionalized and do things at a higher standard. Unfortunately, that's led to a lot of good people being forced out of the industry because, it didn't make sense for them to study and things like that. It's also led to less advisors that can look after consumers, and that's a gap. And as an industry, we haven't figured out how to, or as a profession, we haven't figured out how to fill that gap.
Yeah.
It does provide opportunity as a wealth management business to, to be in a good position to be able to deliver or attract clients. And certainly, because we work in the high value space, we are always very deliberate about delivering lots and lots of value to our clients. We find that that's a good space to be in. Sometimes we create more work for ourselves because we're always looking for more that we can deliver, but we prefer to be doing that than trying to, do a different model, because there is a model there where it's basically a high volume model. Just get as many people in and try to deliver it as cheaply as possible, generally a product
Mhm.
focused or a very, simple focused solution. But we
Yeah.
we know that that's not as valuable to clients as when we're going deep and really dealing with the complexities that they're facing in their
Yeah.
finances and life. So that's where we are. There are plenty of other challenges we have with compliance and legal requirements that we have, and so we have a lot of hurdles that we have to jump through as financial advice wealth management firm. And there are a lot of costs. The costs have gone up tremendously in terms of what is required for us, and the number of regulators that we have to follow. It's kind of good for consumers at the end of the day, but it has made it harder for advisors, and that's a bit unfortunate. We've taken the view that we just need to, that that's the way it is, and we just need to manage it, and do
Mhm.
what we need to do to stay around for our clients and manage all of that ourselves.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're definitely challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's the skills shortage seems to be a reoccurring theme that I'm hearing from business
Mm,
owners and
mm,
like across the finance industry, not just in like wealth management. So it's pretty
yeah.
interesting. And
Yeah.
then so what other like major shifts are you seeing in the industry aside from like you said like compliance is changing? Anything else?
Yeah, one of the other things that's a real concern of mine. I do sit on the Policy and Regulations Committee for the Financial
Mhm.
Advice Association, and this is a constant thing, which is um, bad. There's a lot of bad practices or unscrupulous people out there because there's a skill shortage. There's a lot of things that consumers need to be aware of, like, and particularly with social media and advertising. And there's a lot of unqualified people who are not advisors who are selling products or pushing strategies and things like that, which are not actually good for consumers. And that's a real concern of mine because I see it when people come through and they've been burnt by someone who hasn't done the right thing. It's not usually it's not financial advisors that are doing it. You get the odd thing here and there, but it's generally, you see these ads on social media about, check your superannuation, you can get a better return or a lower cost thing, blah, blah, blah. But what's happening is they're getting funneled into dodgy products. And so that's a big problem that can happen. We
Mhm.
also see it with complicated strategies, which are pushing people into doing risky things that they shouldn't do. A classic example is, there's a couple, property. There's a lot of property people online, and people, property's a good investment, but it's got to be done properly. And there's so many people online, and you don't have to be qualified to recommend property. And you just see the ads, and people selling off the plan crap that or just not good investments. And what
Yeah.
happens is they're making all the money.
Mm.
We get approached all the time by developers saying, "Oh, we'll pay you $30,000 commission for every property that you recommend to a client." And we're like, "What do you mean? Like, who's making them? Like, the client's going to lose here, right? Because if we're getting a commission and they're trying to get rid of a property that's, who knows if it's any good." Um,
Mm.
so but a lot of people get caught up on it because a lot of people talk about how well they've done in property, and a lot of people have, but we see a lot
Mm.
of people that have not done well in it.
Mm.
That's a
Okay.
good example. Another strategy we see, which is just rife, is set up a self-managed super fund. Borrow as much as you can, buy an investment property in your self-managed super fund. And again, it can work for some people. All of these things can work for some people, but the issue I have is that you have these people out there selling it as a solution for everyone. And
Mm.
but the people going into them, they don't realize the costs, the complexity, the risks, the things that can go wrong. And I think that's
Yeah.
a real thing that consumers need to be aware of. And your listeners who are business owners are probably really are good targets for these people. And so you just got to be
Mm.
really careful about who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Um, be very skeptical when you're talking to people with investments and money, because it's easy to sell a sexy story or a sexy solution. It's hard to find someone who genuinely cares about you and your outcomes and actually
Uh-huh.
understands the complexity and thinks about things like risk. I think risk is the thing that people don't focus enough on. People just chase
Mm.
high performance or high returns. I can double my money and this and that. And risk management is far more important because when things go wrong, no one cares about the return you could have got. They care about the money they've lost. And so we focus
Yeah.
very, very much on risk, what can go wrong,
Yeah.
and making sure that, and not just in investments, but in anything in business, what can go wrong? Like every one
Mm.
of our business clients should have a risk management strategy, right? You need to understand where the
Oh, yeah.
risks are, how you're going to mitigate those. So, um, yeah, I'm a bit passionate about that because I really hate seeing, people getting
Mm.
burnt by certain things. So
Yeah.
that's a trend that we're watching.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. And then how do you guys stand out from that noise? If like you said, there's so much stuff going on, so much ads and everything. How do you, as a firm, then stand out? and then show people you are legit and not a get rich quick scheme type of thing.
Yeah, good question. It is hard, and I don't think we can compete with the sort of things that are
Mhm.
traditional advertising because we know the best way to advertise is to shock and awe, make outrageous claims, get people excited about something.
Yeah.
Um, no one People don't want the boring things. So if we think about
Mhm.
health, for example, we know that it isn't that complicated. You got to sleep better, eat better, exercise better, right? But that's boring. We don't want to do
Mhm.
that. We want the next, what's the diet, what's the quick thing that's going to give me
Supplement. Yeah.
what's a supplement. And so just like the health industry, there is a lot of crap out there that doesn't do anything, or it's actually bad for you, but there's an industry for people to buy it because as humans, that's our behavior naturally. And I'm the same
Mhm.
as well. Like I want the thing that's easier. I want the thing that's gonna,
Mhm.
get me into shape without me having to do the hard work, or that's
Yeah.
a bit more interesting. So I totally get it. Um, so we can't compete with those sorts of things. What happens with us is most of our work comes from referrals. So
Mhm.
whether it's, clients who have had really great outcomes, or other professionals who we work with, accountants, lawyers, other smart people that they're like, don't go and do that stupid thing. You've got to come and see these guys because they'll really make a
Right.
difference and help you. So those trusted introductions and referrals are probably the key thing.
Mhm.
And I guess education as well. I think we spend a lot of time, we do a lot of pro bono work, we do a lot of work in the community trying to educate people and trying to help them. And, part of doing this podcast is to try and share a bit of knowledge and make people aware of, what they need
Yeah.
to think about and what they need to look for.
Mhm.
Hopefully that helps people generally over time build financial literacy, build that,
Mhm.
the antenna to try and avoid things that sound too good to be true. It's
Yeah.
right. Anything that sounds too good to be true usually is
Mhm.
right. We all know that, right? But we all get sucked in and we can easily, I do, sucked in and
Yeah.
tempted for that thing. So we
Mhm.
try to stand out like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on the show. Where can people find you, learn a little bit more what you guys got going on?
Yeah, so we if you look us up online, if you look up Rasaya, Rasiah private online, or if you look me up Thabojan Rasiah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and happy to chat with anyone that might have some questions about wealth management or how they should approach it. We've got some really good frameworks and systems to help people, achieve financial success, but in a meaningful way that actually is based on what they want to achieve in their life.
Mhm.
I've also got a podcast, the Rich with Purpose podcast. So that's got some episodes that might give you a bit of insight into how we think about things, and some thought-provoking episodes there. But reach out on the website or online anytime.
Mhm. All right. Awesome. Cool. And I'll include a link in the notes below.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. Sweet. You guys have been listening to the Business Growth Podcast. Until next time, keep growing.